you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
What is integrity? You know, integrity doing the right thing when nobody's looking, all right? You know, are you a leader or a follower? I'm a leader. What's the difference? Think for myself, all right? Do you have confidence? Yes. What's not?
Hey guys, welcome to Levin podcast, where we're two queens with two perspectives. This your girl Mimi.
Hey, and it's your girl Mishi.
Yes, and class is now in session.
And we're going to hop right back into Back to School Part 2. Every student is different. Different students have different learning styles. There are 4 types of learners. So you have a visual learner, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. Visual learners are learners that learn by seeing, like charts and graphs. You have auditory learners, they learn by hearing, so like reading aloud and discussions.
Right.
Reading and writing, those are learners that do exactly that. They learn by reading and writing books, texts, and like note taking. Kinesthetic, those are learners like myself, like learn by doing, like tactile, like touching, feeling, like hands-on.
What did you find to be some good ways for you to help you study and to retain the information that you was being taught?
I use all 4 types of learning styles for sure. When it comes to studying, I have like a 2-step process. So the first step is reading the chapters, and most professors would also like provide PowerPoint presentations, and that is where I would like handwrite important information from the chapter that I read. And if I didn't understand the information I was reading from the chapter, that's when I would, look for clarification via the internet.
Right.
So once I read each chapter and kind of organized my studying material, the next step is making sure like I retain the information.
Right.
And to do that, I love to use dry erase boards and chalkboards when I'm studying, because I need to be like physically moving while processing the information. So I would be like at a dry erase board or chalkboard, drawing a figure or a model, and simultaneously like explaining it to myself out loud. I just found that way really effective for me, and it really worked for me. It was just really important for me to be able to use what I'm learning in my everyday life. Like I would need to be able to speak about what I've learned with confidence, and it worked for me.
Yeah. No, definitely. You hit the nail on that one. You got to definitely retain the information and understand the information. You can't just regurgitate it. Depending on what career path you in, for the most part, most majors you do have to, get to a point where you're understanding what you're learning.
Right.
You're not just like spitting back, facts.
What type of learner were you?
Yeah, I like audio. And I like visual as well. So I would say audio visual learner. A lot of times I would commute to school and I would listen to the lectures or listen to a YouTube video on the topic. That's another thing. Y'all got to realize like YouTube is your friend.
That's right.
YouTube has you could probably learn how to build a house watching YouTube. It'll be everything on there. You can learn how to braid hair.
That's true. Yeah.
You can learn how to do nails. Like it's such a rich array of information on there, and it's just like it's endless. And so it even applies in the schooling aspect. You can utilize YouTube for like certain topics that you may not be completely confident in, or the professor didn't cover it well enough for you to understand, or you maybe need it in a different style of learning. Like you need it to be taught to you in more ways that's more layman's terms, I guess you can say, or just basic breakdowns of it. A lot of storytelling. Like people got to get creative sometimes when you're trying to retain such a large amount of information. So what helped me a lot was YouTube. Also listening to the lectures and listening to recordings on during my rides, kind of like just incorporating it into my day-to-day life. And so it kind of sinks into your brain or seals into your brain. A lot of people feel like you can't study at home or you can't study in your room, but that was actually a good place for me to study. I wasn't I would go to the library from time to time, but I would just be more comfortable at home. I would just, like maybe put my phone in another room or like any kind of distractions, get rid of them.
Yeah, for me, I preferred studying on campus just because I was able to study in like an empty classroom, and I had access to a dry erase board and desk and things like that. And my biggest thing, like if I were to study at home or at someone's home, is that I have to have a desk available. Like I have to be able to sit upright. I need to be able to sit upright. My feet have to touch the floor.
Yeah.
I have to be able to have like all my study material on the desk, with my colorful pens, my Post-its, my highlighters, my mini dry erase board if I need it, like, and I'm locked in. Like,
and I would say start earlier in the day if you can. It's hard to study like late into the night. I never really pulled all-nighters when I was in school. I know.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I know. Because after a certain point in time, like my brain just shuts off. I probably would study at the latest maybe to like 1, but like for us like going all the way into the night.
Morning?
Yeah,
okay.
1 a.m.
Okay,
yeah,
that's pretty late.
It's late, but it wasn't even a regular occurrence. It may be like around exam time or something, but just on a regular basis, like my study time usually cut off about 9-10 o'clock at night because I would have utilized the big portion of my day. But some people come alive in the nighttime.
That's
some
true.
people are more night owls.
Yeah.
I know that for me personally, I'm not a night owl.
Right.
I don't. I like to sleep at night. Right. I like to utilize my nights to get rest and to prepare for the day. So if I can, like get up earlier in the morning, squeeze some studying in at that point, or utilize any kind of break in my day to study, I will utilize that. Or if it's just a free day in general available off, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not saying that's realistic for a lot of people or for everyone. I know that that's not ideal, especially if you trying to raise a family or working throughout the day. You gotta kind of squeeze it in whenever you can, and if it late at night is just your opportunity, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I'm just saying, like, that was just how I managed it when I was in school. I would try my best to be very organized in the daytime to where I can get the bulk of my studying at least done in the daytime. And if it just kind of ran into the night a little bit, but it was not to the point where I didn't get sleep, at night.
Cramming for exams was not my thing. Like, I had to really study. I had to really put in the work to make good grades. And I feel like I am a planner type of chick, more so in college than now, but my planner was my everything. Using a planner allowed me to schedule each event, appointment, errands, task, and all that kind of stuff, so that I knew what to expect and set specific due dates and deadlines for everything to kind of help me stay on track, because I had a lot going on in college. So I knew that I had a test on Wednesday at 10 a.m. that covers like 4 chapters, right? So I started studying maybe on Friday night, 2 chapters. And then Sunday after work, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, So come Monday, it's like review, no cramming, no stressing.
Right.
Another study tip that really helped me, and I know a lot of professors encourage this, is reading beforehand. Yeah. I know that it is really difficult to do, but if you really think about it, it can be so beneficial to you, because if everything that you hear in class is new, it's very hard to determine what you understand and what you don't understand, and what your questions might be if you don't know the information, if this is the first time you're hearing the information. And if you have read beforehand, you can focus your attention on filling in those gaps in your understanding, rather than playing catch up.
Right.
And I wanted to also mention practice exams.
Oh,
I know
yes.
I know some of your colleges will frown upon it, especially the universities, the big ones.
Yeah.
But practice exams are where they're at. Period.
Yeah.
Some of these professors, you don't even know what they about to ask. And if you can get your hands on practice exams, great. If you can't, find it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nothing more frustrating than studying a whole bunch of material only to find out he didn't even tackle that on the exam.
All, right.
And so you're not even knowing what angle your professor's coming at a test. So yeah, practice exams are definitely key, and they come in handy for sure. And I like how you mentioned the study schedule. Like, that is key. Like, just breaking it down, like, this is what I'm going to tackle this day.
Right.
This is what I'm going to tackle that day, and sticking to that plan. I think that over a longer period of time, it'll help you sustain, keeping it up, because it's almost, I mean, I don't know how people do it, but I don't think it's natural or even realistic to think that you can just stay up all night every single night to study, and then
Red Bulling it up,
right?
Oh,
like
no.
something in your health might might not go too well doing it. Doing that. Sleep is important. Like, as much as retaining the information is good and dandy, but you gotta remember, you are a human being. You gotta take care of your body. You gotta take care of yourself while you're going to school. So just still incorporating that sleep, doing what you have to do in the whatever hours that's best for you, doing what you can do, and then utilizing nighttime to sleep if you can.
Right.
Eating healthy, getting some workout in, like, have some kind of normalcy, having some kind of normalcy so that you're at the best fighting weight, like you're at your best functioning level to even tackle the rigorous course load that you're probably going to embark upon. So it's very, very much tolerable. It's almost like you just have to set a plan into motion, and to stick to that plan.
I'm glad you said that, because those are the people you need to stay away from. The ones that are coming into class with Red Bulls every day. Like, goodness gracious, are you a zombie? When do you sleep? Like, get away from me. Like, that's just no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think I had a Red Bull or whatever the equivalent was one time, and my heart started racing. So I was like, I ain't fooling with that no more.
Right.
Like, and then I started hearing, it can cause heart attacks. I say, oh no, ma'am, we're not gonna do this. So I'm gonna have to
away from them.
Yeah,
Just get some sleep, man. Just
get some sleep. I mean, I guess coffee is okay, but even that can be like dangerous after a while.
That's
like
true.
loading up on too much caffeine. But
that's
hey, true. I know it's helped a lot of people throughout the years. So you got to do what you got to do sometimes too. It's not always an ideal situation, but studying is like it's like the last course. It's
that's
like
right.
It's a part. It's a course in itself, just to sit down, carve out time, uninterrupted time,
all your colored pens and everything.
Have your highlighters, your colored pens, your everything, your binders, and organize and everything, just so you can sit there and break down and digest this information that you've been given into a format that is, you're able to retain it not only for the test but for whatever the career path you're in, because it doesn't end with the test is just validating the knowledge, but you're gonna have to eventually you got to remember, you got to eventually use this, so at least some of these things is going to play a part in your career. Whatever you choose to do. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be on the final. So don't think that it's just something that, you learn for the exam one, and it's not going to be on the final. No, like, these are things that are going to be reoccurring, and it's going to keep building on each other and building on each other, But also make sure you choose the right study partners. Like, if you decide that you want to be a part of a study group, please, my biggest pet peeve was come prepared for your study group. I am not the professor.
Right.
I am not a tutor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the person, I'm not at that skill set to teach you these things. Granted, yes, if you're teaching someone something that may not know a certain subject, it might reinforce you and your learning and the knowledge of that certain topic, but it also kind of puts you behind, because you already grasp that knowledge and you need to move to something that you may not really grasp.
Right.
So don't allow your study groups to hold you back. Make sure your study groups are lifting you up. Y'all are propelling forward, and you're studied for exam 1, and y'all are already talking about exam 2.
Exactly. So yeah, you got to choose your company wisely. That's for sure. What about some of the people, on Twitter, they like to debate on
Not Twitter.
what's better, to go to a HBCU or a PWI.
What's PWI?
So for those who don't know, HBCUs is basically a term for historically black colleges and universities. So that's one type of schooling you can go to, and a PWI is considered like a predominantly white institution. So schools that are not, of course, historically, black, or for the black people, and anywho. So, anyways, I personally think that it depends on.
Wait, what did you go to? Did you go to a HBCU or did you go to a PWI?
So I went to. I guess it would be considered a PWI.
Me too.
But the reason why I did that because my elementary was all black, middle school was all black.
Okay.
I went to
that's interesting.
Yeah, and up until high school, when I went to high school is when I first went to a diverse school. Before then I went to all black schools, and they were great. I mean, I still have friends to this day from elementary, middle school, and everything. But it was just like I needed that exposure to different cultures and different people. And I feel like once I did get in that environment, like I really thrived. I feel like I really was able to grow and develop, and learn a lot. I love my HBCUs. I have friends who like diehard HBCU graduates. They love their school, everything like that. But to me, just always being in all black environments. Sometimes when you're always in all black environments, you do need to kind of diversify yourself and get exposure to other races and other groups of people. Because,
that's true.
If not, you might think that you might feel like you're in this bubble, and you don't really know how to interact once that time does come to, you're forced to be in an environment with different races. So it was good to, like, in my grooming, to be able to grow and learn, like in my high school years or whatever. And honestly, I didn't really choose a school. I didn't really choose my university so much based on, like, it was being a PWI or being an HBCU. I went where I got a scholarship at. Like, that's kind of how I made my decision. So I went where I got a scholarship at, and then everything. Once I decided to leave that school, because I didn't find a good fit for me or whatever. Once I did decide to leave that school, all my schooling, my mindset was I'm trying to get through school as quick as possible. And so if it was a school that required the least amount of classes or the most affordable tuition, that's kind of where I went. I wasn't so much into going to school for the college experience, so to speak. I kind of got that out of my system or whatever, and I was more so going to just get through my degree because I already knew what I wanted to do. I figured out what I wanted to do, so it was kind of like if I knew my destination, where I wanted to go, I was trying to find like the shortest route, the shortest destination. Yeah. I mean, the shortest route to get to my destination. Yeah. And so, but yeah, like I do think it depends on the individual. If a person only grew up around being in all white environments and, never experiencing a part of their culture, I think HBCU is absolutely a great idea for them to get a sense of who they are and to groom them for, the real world as well, because they teach you, I feel like they teach you things about how to handle, being black in certain environments. And you might not necessarily get that type of level of education or, training from a PWI. So it depends on the person. If they are somebody that never got any kind of exposure growing up to black culture and they, get to college and they want to experience that, I think that's definitely a good reason to go to a HBCU, or even if you have experience, being around other Black people, whatever, you just want to, continue to experience that. It's up to you, and I think that there's room for both, from both, types.
So I am African. Technically, you would say that my siblings and I are first generation African Americans.
Right.
But I am deeply rooted in the African culture. It's in my blood. But growing up, I was raised in a predominantly white area. So in turn, I went to predominantly white primary and secondary schools. What I'm trying to say is that I wish I went to an HBCU.
Okay.
In middle school and in high school, I was in advanced level classes.
Yeah.
And that is the only time where I saw like a little whittle bit of diversity. I think my graduating class had maybe like 35 African American students out of 100 or more. Yeah, we had a handful. So when I went to a PWI, it wasn't different from my high school. It was almost the exact same demographics.
Right.
I knew exactly what I was going to be up against. So if I feel like if I chose a HBCU, I may have not been such a recluse.
It's kind of also depending on like your family, sometimes
That's true.
That's
true.
A lot of people do go to HBCUs because that's the family tradition. Everybody went to FAMU in this family, or everybody went to Howard, everybody went to TSU, whatever, your favorite HBCU is, Southern, whatever it may be. So, like it's like a family thing, like it's a tradition, like we all went to this school. We have history here, so that's where we groom our children to go to. And just like at the PWIs, the other races may groom their children to be a Longhorn or be an Aggie or whatever they want to do.
I remember my sophomore and junior year of high school, and I was amongst like 10 African American students that visited like this particular PWI, and this particular institution had an entire program to help with recruiting minorities. Shout out to the program coordinator, because that institution put on a whole show for us. It was like Black History Month on that campus that lasted like a good 2 days. I remember thinking like, dang, this is so dope.
Right.
And I think that the experience made it dope because I was with my best friend and we were like, experiencing this college thing together. It was dope. It was just dope. Oh my gosh, that's so eerie though when I think about it. Because I think I just described a scene from the movie Get Out. To be honest, like
I was just thinking that. I think also that's where like the community involvement comes into play, because like maybe the schools did push for certain universities to get more recruitment, or like push students to go to that one direction. But I remember being involved in the Urban League and being involved in my church. Yeah, so there was HBCU trips. They would take you around and see all the local, not the local, but even the national like HBCUs. You go around and see Howard. You can see Hampton. You can see Southern. Well, so if you are
our high school counselor was trash.
well, what I'm saying is that's when the whole concept, it takes a village to raise a child. You can't only rely on the school to expose your child to certain environments, to show them the history, because they might not see the beauty and the all the value that HBCU entails. You can't count on a predominantly white school to highlight a black universities.
That's true.
If you are engaged in your community, if you are very engaged in your community, and you're involved in those, organizations, they do actually, go out and show students that these are some other options as well. You don't have to just settle for, these two universities that they're pushing down your throat, that there's possibilities beyond the state. There's possibilities beyond. And I feel like that's what kind of a lot of the classmates that I went to school with were able to go off and go to these HBCUs and thrive and be successful, is because sometimes you can't like I said, you can't just always rely on the school counselor, because they may have you don't know if they have some kind of connection or some kind of setup with the school to push these universities down your throat. But we have to rely on our organizations that are built for us.
True.
To show our kids, other options, other alternatives to learning. And if you don't have that exposure, in your family life, maybe your community can show you those things. So my church still to this day, well, not right now because of the pandemic, but they do a yearly college tour, and that's exactly where they go. They go around to HBCUs and
That's
show
awesome.
show students that. And I know the Urban League does a similar program. So yeah, definitely, guys. If that's something your child is interested in, or you just want them to be exposed to that, exposed to campus life in different environments or whatever, because I feel like I got the exposure to both. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to stay on Rice University campus as a high schooler and see what it was like to be a student there, and then also I got to go on, like the little HBCU trips. And so it kind of gives the child like a variety of options to choose from, because sometimes when you only exposed to 2 or 3 things, then your options and you may feel like your options are limited, and maybe you can only choose from a certain thing. But I'm a big proponent of being like involved in those like local chapters of community organizations, because that's what they're there for. They're there to expose us to like not just the college world, but also to other career paths, seeing Black people in higher positions. I remember getting to meet like a group of all Black doctors when I was
awesome.
when I was in like high school at a program with the Urban League, and we met with all these different Black doctors or whatever. And it was just like they might as well have been superheroes, as they came in, because it was just so like fascinating. We're not I'm not gonna say we're not, but like it's not as highly exposed to us, maybe, to see our, for children to see themselves reflected, in these professions. So I think the more exposure, don't let your kids live in bubbles. The more exposure
True.
you give your child to a wide array of things, don't just, what I'm saying? Like, don't just show them one way of life and think that that's it. They need exposure to a lot of different things. If you grow up in a predominantly white environment, you might need to take your child to the hood every now and then to volunteer, or to give back to the less fortunate or whatever, like, or vice versa. If a child grew up in poverty, they might need to go drive around River Oaks with somebody, or drive around a predominantly, people need to see how the other side lives.
Oh, I agree.
People have to be exposed to that, as early as a child, 'cause
I agree.
that kind of helps shapes and molds, the kind of individual you want to grow. People always say they want their child to be well-rounded or whatever individual. And I feel like that is one of the ways you can, do that, as a parent.
That's true. It does take a village to raise a child. And like I said, my village, they were not born nor raised in the United States.
Right.
So a lot of things were new to my parents, and a lot of things were foreign for them.
Right.
I won't speak on all African kids, but I do feel that we were raised to be very, 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 very independent. And I want to emphasize on independent.
Yeah.
And my parents know what struggle is. My parents know what sacrifice is.
Yeah.
And as do most African American parents. But, that phrase, I didn't come to this country for you to live like this, that hits different. So, yeah, man, like, shout out to my first generation babies out there. Yeah.
And we might have to tackle this on another
for sure
podcast too, because it's just so many layers to that, like the expectations of like being a first generation in your family, like when you were talking about that, I was just thinking about the level of expectations and pressure
it's
that
high.
put on a lot of students. Sometimes it's a lot. A lot of times it's a lot, you know. So, and like I like how you mentioned that, you know, maybe if you didn't know that existed, you know, it's no way you could have told your child or, you know, like push for that
Right.
involvement in those particular organizations. But I say I hate the mentality that often is pushed down so many that like the whole topic we're on right now with the PWIs versus the HBCUs. I'm not even bringing up that topic to say that one is superior to the other.
That's a fact. We're not saying that. So don't try to twist our words.
Yes, definitely. Like it's just they're different. It's just not one is.
That's a fact.
It's just a different environment or whatever. And like I said, you know, in my particular situation, I had been around, you know, all black environments for a long time, you know, up until my high school years. It was no white kids. I mean, I probably had one white teacher, you know, that I can think of, but everybody I was surrounded with was black, and it was so much beauty in that. And I was just thinking, like, you know, these inner city schools, sometimes they like paint them out to be so terrible, so bad, so under, like, you know, the kids aren't smart here, whatever, but it was like straight up geniuses in some of my classes.
Right.
Kids that were smart as a whip, okay? Like super smart, super intelligent, like
super in tune with who they are.
Could go bat to bat with anybody, you know? And then I'll never forget one of my math teachers, he's probably the reason why I'm good at math to this day. One of my middle school math teachers, I'm still cool with him. Shout out to Mr. Taylor. But he was so hands-on, so involved with us. I take it back. I did have another white teacher because he would teach us yoga too. But we had a Caucasian teacher in middle school in an all-black neighborhood in the hood, and he was so devoted. I think he worked at the school for like 40 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah, he was there for a long time. And crazy part about it was his daughter had the same name as me. So I guess he had a little bit of, a liking towards me or whatever. But anywho, this man like really, really pushed reading. He was so big on reading, and that the doors that can open. He started book clubs, like people that didn't know how to read or people who didn't enjoy reading. After you dealt with him, encountered him, like he was going to make you love reading. And it was beautiful to see. Like he had the reading club, he was really devoted to the students. The math teachers were like super devoted to the students. My Spanish teacher, I remember she really, I love tamales to this day because she exposed us, little kids from the ghetto to Spanish culture,
That's awesome.
And here she is, this elder black woman speaking fluent Spanish and teaching us a way, teaching us it in a way. So like, it was just these rich experiences and these devoted teachers that I feel like don't get enough
in the inner cities.
In the inner cities,
that's important to know. Black
and Mexican students, they don't give them enough credit for all that they do. And it's funny because still to this day, like I'm a full-blown adult, and these are people that were in my life at 11, 12 years old, and I can still, I'm still friends with some of them on Facebook, and my elementary teacher, some of them I'm still friends with. It was just that loving environment of like, we're going to do whatever it takes to
make sure that these students
make sure you
succeed.
Learn. Yes, like it takes a village. Like reading is fundamental. Like it was like I was so prepared. I was so confident going into high school.
Man.
Yes, like people might have originally looked down on maybe the schools that I came from, but I was like so prepared once I did enter into a more diverse high school because of the foundation that they gave me. I was like taught so much in those years, and it was just
that's great.
It was just great because I get passionate about it because I know that everybody not able to grow up in suburb or whatever, what I'm saying? Like, but if you can make it out of those situations, if education is your tool to grow and advance. Like education really
say it again, right?
Education really is a tool. It can change your life. It can change your situation. Like just because you started in one environment, that don't mean you know, like that's where your story ends.
Right.
Like the reading can take you places, you know, like open your mind.
Right.
It can take you places. And I think also sometimes in those schools, it's also built in. Like I remember watching Roots. We watched Roots for like a week straight.
Wow.
and we joke about it to this day because it was like they really had us in class watching Roots.
Right.
Okay. And like, you know, would that have happened, you know, maybe at another school? Probably
No,
not.
it did not happen in my school.
Right. But it's just like, these are the experiences that, you know,
Right.
that they gave us. Like, not only are you getting this rich education, these devoted teachers or whatever, but you also can get a little bit of Black history thrown
Right.
into that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was just, so I guess even though I didn't go to HBCUs, like I had such a rich foundation with my early schooling years that I know, like, you can never say like one is more superior than the other or
Right.
anything like that, because it's just different, you know. So what about how can one balance their school life and a social life? Is that even possible?
I am not the person to ask about that. Yeah, you already know. You already know. I can't balance that. Listen, I have a planner for everything. And if I don't write in my planner and you not on the planner, it's not getting done.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, like I'm not good at social life, work life balance. That's very tough for me.
Yeah. I guess it's tough for a lot of people. It's a lot of high pressure things to try to maintain, you know, a lot of obligations. But what I found for me personally that have worked, you can always tweak it and modify it as you go. But I think when it comes to school and a social life, the way that I did it was I just made sure that I devoted when it was time to study, like I gave studying my all or whatever. But I guess I always knew that I could not keep going, or that I would burn out if all I did was just study and never had a social life. Not saying that you have to have like a big social life, but just incorporating time, some quality time with your family and your friends in such a high stressful situation, because schooling can be so stressful at times. So I think that incorporating that into your schedule some kind of way, and I feel like the best way to do it is to make a study schedule, stick to it, and give it all you got when you do study, but also maybe say carve out, it might not be my whole Saturday, but like 2 or 3 hours out of my Saturday I'm going to devote to going to eat with a friend, or I'm going to devote to hanging out with my family or whatever. And I feel like that really helped me stay balanced, helped me stay sane, helped me get refueled for the week, because I feel like if I do anything too much, or if I'm just like overworking myself and not actually you know, having that quality time with the people that I love and people I care about, or doing something that I love, or do something that I'm interested in at some point, you know, like it's not feasible to say I'm going to always be able to do it. But like, you know, if I used to do it weekly, now it's maybe twice a month, that's still cool too. You know, like I would just appreciate that time even more, you know, when I do get it or whatever. But definitely I would just devote whatever study time that I had allotted to study and to go to class, to doing that, and to also just make sure that I incorporated, okay, this is also gonna, just as much as I'm putting in my schedule all my classes,
right,
and all my work day things or whatever, like also incorporating family, incorporating friends, because I feel also like with school, it can put you like, it can isolate you.
Oh, definitely.
It can be very isolating at times. Sometimes when you get so deep into studying or whatever, it can feel very isolating. You feel like you ain't experiencing life. You're not going nowhere with you know what I'm saying? Like you can have all those thoughts or whatever. But I think the thing that can sustain you or keep you going. For me, well, keep me going or sustain me is I needed to go to church.
Yeah.
I needed to go to church. I needed to find a way to make that happen in my schedule and put that in my schedule in my life. I needed to have some kind of time with my family.
Right.
Because I'm a big family person, so that I feel like they're gonna be there even after the schooling is over with. So I want to cultivate and nourish those relationships too, but also keep them aware that it might not be as often or as frequent as I may want it to be. So hey, I can go to this family function, or I'm not able to go to this family function. There was a lot of family functions I didn't make it to,
right.
But the ones I did make it to, like they were. It kind of refueled me, kind of, kept me going and kept me inspired to keep going, because, hey, you got to find something to look forward to. I feel like, you're not alone. A lot of people cannot do it. It's almost impossible in a lot of situations, depending on what's going on. You may only have that time to devote to just, schooling and working, and that's completely fine.
Yeah, it's hard to stay sane though.
It is. Oh, child.
It's hard to stay sane.
I'm getting stressed out just thinking about it. But
it's hard, man. It's hard because you feel the pressure.
Like you said, it is very hard to stay sane and to stay motivated throughout all that. It's
right.
A lot of. It's not a long period of time, but it's like an intense period of time in your life when you're in school. I would say the things that help keep me motivated and sane throughout that period of time was just knowing like that I am going to better my family's life.
That's right.
That I'm doing something to really help people. I'm going to be able to really make a change in my family's life, and to also sow seeds back into my parents who also like really, really invested in me, growing up. And I feel like it was just like almost like a love offering to go ahead and complete this degree.
Oh, wow. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, because I mean, my parents did not have a lot, but I never knew that growing up, because they made it look so easy. They made it look so seamless because they found that I never went without anything. I still had the latest and greatest of everything. What I'm saying?
That's great, man.
And I feel like that was because no matter what, my mama gonna get it for her child.
Right.
Daddy gonna make it happen for his daughter. You know what I'm saying? And that was instilled in both me and my brother.
I know my motivation was definitely my family, because like even now, like in my head, I have so many goals that I need to achieve on this earth for my mother and my father, because those were the people that planted all their seeds in me. And
Mama, I love you.
Yes, I love you, mommy, and I love my dad. Yes, for real, holding it down. Like, my parents deserve it. They work so hard, and when I tell you, like, I know it, I see it, I feel it, I know, I see it in their hands, I see it in their feet, I see it in their eyes, I see it in their body. Woo! Shout out to our parents, man.
Right,
for real. Okay, now next question. Do you think that college is necessary? Do you think people should go to college? What's your take on it?
Well, I feel like that was kind of like drilled into you, as a child. Like you go, this is the pathway. You go elementary, middle school, high school, and college. You like that,
right?
It's not a alternative. You got to go to college. But I don't think college is necessary for everybody, because for one, your major or what you want to do, they might not offer a major for that. You know what I'm saying? It might not be a major for it. And also, some people desire, entrepreneurship. Not saying you don't have to go to college to be an entrepreneur, but some people really desire like other pathways. And I feel like now we live in this society where there's so many new age like ways to make money, ways to do things that weren't always there before. People have made great careers like with YouTube and like social media platforms, have created a lot of millionaires, and not just like strictly using the social media thing, but like catapulting that into something else, So I don't think that's the only means for success. But what I'm more of a proponent of is just learning in general. It don't have to be
right.
You don't have to necessarily go to a traditional college or whatever. But long as you are, seeking out the assistance and the training that you need to do what you need to do, like make it proper, get that education. And whatever, it's different forms of education. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody doesn't always have to go through a 4-year program just to be educated. So I don't think that college is necessary for everybody. I feel like you can still be successful. You can still do what you want to do. It's a lot of living. There's a lot of people that's proof of that today that have taken their dreams and their desires and created awesome businesses or done other things, in different avenues. But I think as long as you take the time to educate yourself, and education can come from different ways and different methods. We were just always trained. We were always taught that this was the only way, but I'm glad that it's being shown that there's other paths to success besides just traditional 4-year universities going to get your degrees. And that, because another thing is a lot of people cannot, take sitting down in a class or take studying long periods of time. That's a lot in itself to be able to do that. But if you are more of a hands-on person, or if you're somebody that just a go-getter and you're gonna learn, you're gonna get in places with the right people that are experts in their field, and you're gonna soak information, pick their brains and soak information as much as possible. Sometimes that's even more valuable than a 4-year degree.
I don't think there's much for me to add. I love it. I agree with that. Oh, and I really wanted to touch on this before we go. To our college athletes out there, we respect your grind. We respect your hustle. We respect your craft. We respect your skill, but we want you to also value a plan B. Right? So every college student has dreams, right? But for the ones that are athletes, those dreams usually include you going to the league, playing professionally. But that's plan A, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is that fewer than 5% of all college athletes compete at a professional level after they graduate. And I'm a realist, and I'm not trying to crush anybody's dreams, but I just want you to know that, it's value your plan B. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And then with the athletes, or the student athletes, I should say, I think if your aspirations are to, strictly just play sports, that's your desire, you have no other, aspirations in life outside of that, I think the main thing I would probably recommend that they do is at least get a business course. Get some business courses in, know how to, or finance, you know what I'm saying? Like learn the business aspect of your sport or your career. A lot of them go into broadcasting, after your sports career is over with. But I would just say definitely like learn, and you might not necessarily have to get a degree in it, but just learn business, learn economics, learn finance, learn how to manage your money, because you're going to be, thrown into situations where you're going to be given a lot of money that you may have not once ever experienced having before.
Okay, Mimi, with the great advice. And that's it.
We hope that you found this lesson very informative and, kind of give you a little bit of nuggets to take away as you prepare to go back to school, whether you're a high school senior, whether you're second degree student, whether you're entering
freshman,
into whatever program you're entering into or whatever stage of life. Like I say, education is lifelong. It's a lifelong process, and it's very doable. You can do it. We believe in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that it is a stressful journey, but it is worth it in the end. If that's what you really want to do, you got to go after your dreams full force sometimes. And we salute everyone who's out there trying to better themselves and get that education, because Lord knows you need every bit of advantage we can get in this society today. So anything else you have to say on that?
I agree.
Well, I think that was a great lesson for today. We really was able to tackle a lot of different aspects when it comes to college, and it even ventured off into some more topics, kind of going back down memory lane and everything.
For sure.
So yeah, I wish everyone a happy and a successful school year.
Yes, come on with the 4.0s. That's what we expect.
Yes, so you can hit us up on our social media pages. We're on Instagram at Levin Hall Podcast, on Twitter at Levin Hall Pod, and also on our YouTube channel. So yeah,
we're on
check
Anchor
us.
now.
Also, yeah, we're on Anchor as well.
Okay, yes, come on.
Shout out to Anchor.
Yes,
we own that
on
thing.
Anchor. Yes.
Yes. So we'll see you next time, guys, in class on Levin Hall Podcast.